Hey everyone, thanks for being here at the normal time and place, but in case you didn't get the memo, we're actually heading out today and going on a little field trip to the coffee shop I work at now. So grab your coat and mask and let's head off. But before we do that, I want to talk about the amazing people who are making today's video possible. I want to give a massive thank you to Vessi for sponsoring today's video. Now, you might be saying, Morgan, those look like they've been worn. And yeah, you'd be absolutely correct. I don't think I've taken these off in a good 4 days except to sleep because these are genuinely some of the most comfy shoes I've ever put on. And if you followed me for a long time, you probably know that I usually wear boots to work. But I think these have officially converted me to wearing sneakers. Made from Vessi's Dymatex dual climate knit material, these shoes will keep you warm while still being breathable and, of course, comfortable. And what's more, they're completely waterproof, which is vital for me because barista shifts are not especially known for being clean or dry. But don't take my word for it, allow me to show you. And I thought, what better way to test this than by giving them the full pour-over treatment. We've got Vessi's weekend sneakers, yes, a full kettle of water, and then we will be also taking some dry paper towels to put in the toes of the sneakers. After that, I will be giving these the full soak with my favorite gooseneck kettle, and we'll find out how waterproof they actually are. One other thing I want to mention about Vessi's is that they're sustainably made and vegan, with their knitting process reducing both material and water waste. Alright, I think we've given these shoes a good enough soak, and yep, that looks like a perfectly dry paper towel to me. Perfect for all those moments where I am in fact spilling copious amounts of coffee. So if you like the look of these snazzy sneakers, they might just be the perfect gift for you and your loved ones, especially with the current rainy season where wading through puddles is probably a daily occurrence. Go snag a pair while they still have your size and a fun variety of colorways to choose from. And don't worry, you can thank me later. Check them out at the link below and use my code MDC to get a special $25 off your Vessi purchase. Thank you again to Vessi, and keep an eye out for their sneakers throughout the rest of today's video. Now, if you've been following the weird saga that has been the past 6 months of my life, you probably know that I'm working at a coffee shop again, and it's a whole lot of fun. I get to work in a city that's much larger than anywhere I've ever lived before, and I get to work with a bunch of really cool people and serve some absolutely fantastic customers. So instead of staying in my kitchen and doing weird experimental videos, I thought we would actually head in and give you a little peek at what I do day to day when I'm not making videos. So the first thing I do when I get to the cafe is make sure I get all the lights turned on. This is a really old historical building, which is really cool, but that means there's a lot of just like strange light fixtures and doors and stairways that don't really lead to anywhere or anything, and it's pretty fun, but it's also kind of strange and mysterious. I will also mention that we are filming this during off hours when the shop is closed, so if you're saying, Morgan, it looked like it was light when you were driving over and now it's dark, don't mind that. Let's just pretend that it's 6 a.m. in the morning instead of definitely 6 p.m. in the evening. Anyways, after I get all the lights turned on, it's time to suit up, if you will, for my barista shift, which is with my trusty black apron. I get a lot of questions about where I got this from, and unfortunately the answer is just Amazon. I will try to find it and link it in the description of this video, but no promises because I've tried to find this apron again before to order some replacements for myself, and it's always very tricky. So again, no promises. If I can find it, it'll be in the description. If not, I'm so sorry. It's just a black apron from Amazon. Wish it was more exciting. Then after that, before I get started with anything else, I'm gonna wash my hands. In my last video where I did a barista vlog, I definitely forgot to turn off the water while I was lathering and soaping up, and man, you guys really let me know that I forgot to turn off the water. So this time, we turn it off in between, water conservation, all of that stuff, and then afterwards, rinse off the rest of my hands and dry them, and then after that, we are pretty much set to get started with all my stuff. I usually take about 30 minutes in total to open. I don't know if that's average for barista shifts or not, but that's how much time I take, and that's just going to be condensed here. So some of the next initial steps I'm going to take is going to be taking things off their charging ports and also making sure all the necessary equipment is turned on. That includes the scale we're going to be used for weighing espresso, and also turning on the grinders and then opening up the hoppers because we will seal them off overnight when they're not in use. After that, I will be making sure the steam wands are all clean. Now they sit in a water and cleaning fluid mixture overnight, and then when we get in the morning, I will just purge them and / open them up for a couple of seconds, and that'll just make sure any of that cleaning fluid that might be stuck up still in the steam wand is all expelled and they are clean and ready to go. I also like to dump this cleaning fluid down the pitcher rinser drain. I think it's really helpful, and it'll kind of work to clean out that drain as well, because frequently that drain will get very clogged up with milk and solids and whatever else gets stuck down there. Next, I like to get all my syrups out for the day, and these are all house-made, so they're extra delicious in my opinion. But the one I just pulled out is going to be my all-time favorite, and that is the one in that largest jar that has what looks like floaties in it. And I'm so sorry I just described it as floaties because that just sounds absolutely unappetizing. It is in fact the vanilla syrup, so those are vanilla bean pods that have been scraped out. We use fresh vanilla bean pods that then get steeped in like a simple syrup mixture, so extra yummy, extra delicious, not super like artificially vanilla flavored, and my favorite, just chef's kiss. Now after this, what I'm doing here is grabbing a new bag of coffee to use for our drip. Now what I'm doing is also checking the roast dates of a couple bags behind this one just to confirm once and for all that this is, yes, the bag I should be brewing today. I don't want to be grabbing the absolute newest roast date because then I would be neglecting older bags that need to be used ahead of it. I know as a barista I have made the mistake many times of not checking and just assuming that the bag in front is the one I was supposed to use, and then finding out later on in the day that nope, that was not the correct one, and then having to either redial or open up a new bag at the same time, which is a highly unfortunate incident. And if you can relate to it, please let me know because I'd like to know that I am not alone in this, in fact. Now, after I measure out the amount of coffee I want, which is in fact 170 grams and very close, wow. Yep, nope, okay, close enough, good enough. Anyways, after that, we're gonna grind it and then get it started brewing. This is gonna take 7 to 8 minutes in total. Now, that's perfect. We're just gonna get it started and then we can just ignore it while we get a whole bunch of other opening duties done in the meantime. This is a very delicious coffee. I will say I don't drink black coffee very much anymore. I feel like I've kind of like done my time, if you will. I've been a barista and a coffee drinker long enough that I have proven that I can drink black coffee. I do enjoy black coffee in certain scenarios, but is it something I want to drink every single day? And is it a treat to me nowadays? Not really. I'm more into sweet drinks and I really like small drinks like cappuccinos or cortados or any of that. So black coffee, very delicious. I can drink it. I know how to drink it. I can taste it. I've got the palate for it, but not something that I have very often. Okay, so I'll hop off my high horse about that, but I just wanted to say it quickly because I still get a wide array of comments nowadays that say stuff like, oh, if you have a coffee drink that has milk and sugar in it, you don't actually like coffee, you instead just like milk and sugar. And personally, I think that's belittling and absolutely untrue. There's a huge wide array of coffee drinks because they're delicious and coffee goes with a whole lot of things, so you should feel comfortable drinking what you want to drink no matter what the perceived amount of coffee in them is. Okay, anyways, we are dialing in coffee right now, so I dump out a couple shots before actually pulling what I'm gonna do as my first dial in, and that's just to make sure that any old coffee that has been sitting overnight in the hopper is expelled and we're using coffee that is as fresh as possible. Now, if you haven't seen someone dialing in before, essentially what I'm doing is making sure the parameters / the recipe, if you will, for this espresso is as close to perfect as possible. We kind of had guidelines for best preparation practices for espresso, and that has a couple different elements. That has input, which is going to be the dry weight of the espresso that's in the portafilter. You're going to have your output, which is going to be the liquid espresso that you then pull, and you also have time, which is a factor you're going to want to pay attention to. These can all be influenced by a whole variety of things. Grind size is a huge factor. You can also change your input, which is going to affect both time and output. It's a whole thing. It's very fun to learn about. But essentially what I'm doing in layman's terms is making sure I have the correct recipe and the correct parameters for my espresso every single morning, so you're getting the best tasting product when you come in. So we're just going to start off with whatever the grinder was set at for yesterday, so I get kind of like a baseline understanding of where we're at. Here I am holding the timer, making sure I'm tracking time as well as watching my output. We'll give it a taste and then we'll make any adjustments to the grind setting or to the input as need be. Now I will then transfer it into a little ceramic cup, which is a rare commodity nowadays, and I very much enjoy still using them once in a while behind the bar. And then I'll give it a sniff and a couple sips just to kind of understand where the flavor profile is sitting at. Now, interesting fact, some baristas won't even like finish sipping their coffee when they're dialing in. They will just take a couple sips and then immediately spit it back out. And this is because you don't actually need to drink the espresso to understand the flavor profile. It's very easy to kind of bring it in and spread it across your palate, get an understanding of the flavor, and then you can just spit it out in case you don't want to be over caffeinated. Something that happens frequently in the coffee industry is something called cupping, where essentially you are tasting coffee kind of at its most basic state, so you're getting a full understanding of the depth of its flavor and its full flavor profile. Now this usually involves drinking a lot of different coffees and taking a lot of sips of all of them, and it's something that can leave you highly overcaffeinated and jittery. So during these sorts of events, yes, I will carry around a spit cup and I will spit my coffee back into it. It's kind of disgusting, but I always thank myself later when I'm not super jittery. But when I'm dialing in the morning and it's 6 a.m., I will be drinking the coffee that I pull. Now this second dial-in shot was a lot better. I had tightened up the grind slightly and the citrus notes in this coffee were a lot cleaner than before. So I was happy with that, and that's good enough for now. Sometimes dialing in isn't this quick, sometimes it takes longer, and honestly we were just pretty lucky today. Next thing I'm going to do is get ice for the ice chest. Now we don't currently have an ice maker, but some of y'all still like getting ice drinks in the dead of winter, which don't worry, I totally respect it. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a good icy drink on an icy day myself. So I'm just gonna dump it in there. We're not going to talk about that anyways, and then after that the coffee is probably finished brewing, so I'm going to seal that off and then move it over to the table where it's going to live until someone comes in and in fact orders a cup of coffee. I'll also be marking on the side here what time it was brewed so we can keep track of how fresh the coffee is and then change it out as need be. I will also leave a happy little smiley face on it because that's the kind of person I am. Anyways, okay, so we're gonna go move it over to this table, and then after that we're just gonna do a couple last maintenance things, which are gonna be things like restocking lids, making sure everything is all set for the day, do some sweeping, making sure everything is clean. I know that's a very tiny broom. I at first thought it extended, but in fact it doesn't, and I just kind of ripped the broom in two, so that was very fun. After that, sanitizing, making sure everything that customers are gonna touch initially in the morning is pretty clean or slash as clean as possible, and then getting pastries out. These are little Nutella hand pies. They are delicious and fantastic, and it takes everything in me every day not to eat one. Okay, a majority of our opening things are done, so I have a couple minutes left and I'm gonna make myself a drink. Now that right there is that vanilla bean syrup that I talked about earlier. It's delicious, and we're gonna be making a little oat milk, vanilla, cappuccino sort of thing, and it's gonna be wonderful. This is like my all-time favorite thing to drink nowadays. It's like the perfect combination between being kind of punchy because it's a smaller ratio of milk to coffee, but it still has a little bit of sweetness, and you're able to actually like taste that sweetness coming through underneath the coffee, and it's just, I could talk about it forever. It's like the perfect drink. If you ask me to surprise you when you come in and you ask for a drink, I'll probably make you this because it's my favorite thing, and I don't know how you couldn't like it. Okay, so we're also gonna have some fun pouring some latte art, and this is like the one time of the day I get to practice pouring latte art because nowadays everything's pretty much to go and just kind of slam a lid on it. It's not as fun anymore, but that's okay because eventually, someday, imagine ceramics will be back and you'll be able to enjoy your latte art and take pictures of it, and it's gonna be a whole lot of fun for all of us. So that's my oat milk little drink. And then I get these last couple of minutes just to kind of enjoy it. I'll usually get like halfway through it before setting it aside and being about time to open. So this is most of my opening stuff at this point. Now I pretty much just have to pick music and unlock everything, and then it's time to start serving customers. It's really fun. Opening shifts are probably one of my favorite. Even though you have to get up quite early in the morning, it's still a pretty good time. Now, I'm choosing to play the Amy Winehouse radio station on Spotify because that's what I've been really into lately as like good morning music. But I'm also really curious what you like to listen to at work because I feel like I've kind of gotten into a rut lately and I'm just playing the same 3 stations over and over again. I'm sure a lot of you can probably relate to that. So, opening everything up, and there we go. That's my opening shift at a cafe, and I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you again to Vessi for sponsoring this video, and head down to my description to learn more. Alright everyone, I'll see you next week. Bye!